is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sixers Post Game Live. Today, we are reacting to the Sixers W over the Jazz. First W of the Summer League, 104-94, talking top takeaways, talking player of the game, and much, much more. Joining us, as always, he is Tiago at Tiago PHL. What's good, Tiago?
What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Sean? Glad to be back for another exciting Summer League affair against Utah. Sixers looked messy, but there are some players on this team that are very exciting to watch, man. I'm excited to talk about them.
Yep. And he is Sean Bernard. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. Sean, what's going on, man? I'm tired.
Yeah, fun to watch. Just about as different of a constructed team as could possibly be compared to the Sixers, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the young guys. I'm loving the guys competing their hearts out on both ends of the floor, loving the athleticism. So I've been enjoying watching some fun basketball again.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot to talk about. We have some people in the house already, little spongy, saying, yo, teacher got games, and we need Council to play our starting three. Let's start off with freaking Ricky Council Jr. because I thought he was really impressive in this one. He finished with 14 points, 5 assists, 3 boards, 3 blocks. One of those blocks in the second half was really impressive. The 3-and-D upside is real, man. His athleticism, he had another major dunk in this one in transition. Sean, what's your thoughts on Ricky Council Ricky Council the fourth? And do you think he has a chance to, make an impact on the Sixers that do not have wings?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is both these guys, both Terquavion Smith and Ricky Council IV, are the exact type of player the Sixers should be taking swings on, that they're high upside athletes, plus athletes, guys that like you compare Ricky Council specifically to anyone on the Sixers roster. There's an argument to be made that he's right now the best athlete on roster. I mean, Mac McClung might be up there as like his closest competition as far as guys that can jump out the gym, provide pace. It's nice to see that. You need that in the modern NBA. The Sixers have not. I wouldn't say I'm completely bought in on the shot, which is a thing holding me back from getting fully on the Ricky Council train. I still think there's some mechanical work that needs to be done, and that's probably going to be his sink or swim, whether he sticks in the NBA. But he's absolutely worth a flyer. He's been exciting to watch, and he has like an interesting game. Like there's moments where he kind of just like tries to out physical guys, and like I do like it. It's almost like a power forward in like a smaller body. He's interesting. I like him. I want to see more.
Yeah, talk about shooting. He shot 27% on 3.5 3-point attempts in college. He did shoot nearly 80% from the free throw line on 6.1 attempts, which you'd like to see there. But Tiago, what'd you take on Ricky Council fourth? Because every time, it's only been 2 games, but he really stands out to me as a true NBA athlete. It's just whether or not the shot clicks or not.
Yeah, I think tonight, for the first time, I actually saw like what people actually seen Ricky Council. I was struggling to see through my game film study of him in the first game. Let's think about this, right? What happens if Harden walks? Who becomes the de facto point guard of the Sixers, right? It's Tyrese Maxey. Can you imagine Maxey and Council in the open court and that duel, what they would do to the NBA? I mean, that's a cheat code, right? I mean, you saw Council today multiple times getting down the court, outrunning the defense and catching these massive lobs and throwing down like an absolute champion. I think these high-level plays that you see in the open court and transition are highly translatable to the NBA. If you have a team who wants to play with pace, and it's from everything you've seen from Nick Nurse in the two games, is that the Sixers are going to be playing a different brand of basketball around ball movement, pace, and things like that. So, I think that especially if he gets to the NBA, what you're going to see more of him is playing more under structure. So he's going to be asked to dribble less. We saw him turn the ball over a couple of times today off the dribble. He's going to be asked to drive less. He's going to be more off the catch player. So those structures around his game, I think, are going to help tremendously his overall impact at the next level. I think that watching him tonight, man, there's a lot to be excited about from the standpoint of defense, creating turnovers, weak side rim protection, and just an overall effectiveness. Again, the shot is still a question mark, but if you're impacting the game in 2 to 3 other areas the way that he has, it's tough to say no to a roster spot for this kid in the future.
Mm-hmm. Quentin says, is Javonte Smart good? I mean, he was the surprise player of game one. He was incredible here in game two, probably player of the game that we'll get to in a little bit. Efficient offensively, kind of doing a little bit of everything. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I want to talk about Jaden Springer, Sean, because you look at the 6 steals tonight. He had 18 points, mostly at the free throw line. Nick Nurse took the ball out of his hands in game two. We saw Terquavion Smith kind of take over in the pick and roll in the second half of game one and pretty much the majority of game two. On ball, the handle, struggling to finish through contact. Offensively, man, he's got a ways to go. Shot 4 of 12 in this one. What are your quick thoughts on Jaden Springer?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very much buying all the Jaden Springer stock I can get for most of this offseason. I think my mind has shifted gears a little to maybe I hold on to the stock. Maybe I see how this plays out a little better. I mean, defensively, he's absolutely there. He's an NBA defender and has been really since he came into the NBA. He hasn't taken these strides forward offensively that I was really hoping to see. You still see moments where there's the flash. He's another super plus level athlete. He's willing to put his head down, attacks the rim. He's had some flashes of nice touch finishing around the basket, but the jumper still doesn't look quite right. It's still a little too stiff for me. I don't think there's like super real deal mechanical work that needs to be done, but it has to be at least sped up or some sort of make it look more comfortable. And so I'm not completely bought in. He's kind of going to be a spot up shooter as his role. It's such a bummer that this is the case for so many of these type of fringe guys, but he's another guy. I think like your 3-point percentage is going to dictate what your NBA career is. And I think that applies to Jaden Springer. And I'm not overly encouraged by the outlook on that.
It's funny that Nick Nurse saw exactly what we saw on Monday night. Like, he's not a point guard. He can't be on ball. He's not going to be doing it in the NBA. Tiago, what would you take?
Yeah, my take's a little bit different, Chris, because, I think overall, big picture, Springer is definitely a work in progress offensively. But I saw a little bit more on the ball than I think perhaps you did or Sean. I mean, look at the stat line, 9 out of 10 from the free throw line. A lot of that came from him getting downhill, bullying his defender, Abaji being one of the main defenders on him, drawing contact, getting the free throw. Now, is that going to translate to 10 free throws a game in the NBA? No. But you see how he can be an effective offensive player in certain instances. I saw him turn the corner on a small forward off a switch. So, yes, he struggles to do that consistently at the next level. When he gets to the paint, it can be very messy around trying to finish oversized. But I saw more glimpses of a player that can do more than just basically run the floor and cut. I thought today was a positive step towards development. Defensively, man, I think, and I'll pose you guys this question, like if you had to invest on either or player defensively, Springer or Melton, like who would you invest in? Because I think this guy is the defender that people think Melton is. I think Melton is a little bit overrated defender. I think this guy can be a high-level impact defender, and you see more of that so far in summer league for sure. 6 steals, right? It just screams off the film. So I came out of this game be a little more higher than Springer than I was in game one, but it's still a work in progress for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, Springer's not the shooter that Melton is.
Right.
Not even close. I do agree, though, his defense from day one, as we said, will translate. And I do think he's a much better defender already.
Yeah.
How tall is Springer? He's like 6'4", right?
Yeah, I think 6'4" he's listed at.
Like, do you think like the Sixers' lack of wings? And this is just an aside before I throw it to you, Sean. Like, are you concerned at all that the Sixers don't have anybody to defend? So he's going to have to defend taller guys at the next level. Like, I don't know. Like, he's going to be. I feel like they're going to throw Jaden Springer into the fire because that's all they got.
Yeah, they kind of have to. And even like in the Melton comparison, first off, I agree. I think Springer is a better defender, but I don't have the hope that he can reach what Melton is offensively, even though there's still areas Melton could get better as well. Melton's also a guy who's 6'2", so he's also not a guy built to guard wing defenders. Like they really are lacking in that area, and that's a huge hole that has been the case for several years now. That's why the kind of Tobias Harris trade has been so difficult, is you have to have a guy, at least in his vicinity size-wise, that if you're going to ship him off for a deal or you're really leaving this team out to dry. For Jaden Springer, I do think he probably gets thrown to the fire a little bit, and I kind of want to see what happens with it. Like, let's at least try it. Maybe he's still completely not ready and it blows up in our face, but you know what? Like, that is a body that I know will at least compete on that side of the ball and has, like, the chops to stand up against some high-level perimeter guys. He's, I think, better than advertised defensively. Like, as much as that's been his reputation, he really is. Just like his lateral movement, his ability to keep guys in front, and Matisse, who just caught a $33 million paycheck today. Like, Matisse is so much the gambler of letting a guy get in front, loves the poke outs, loves the blocks. That's not Jaden Springer. Like, he has similar defensive instincts, but he's way more fundamentally sound. He's got way more of a pop athletically, and that like back end rim protection is something that's super, super valuable, and he does incredibly well. That has specifically jumped off the page to me.
It's a 6'4", but it's a strong 6'4".
Yeah, he's built.
Yeah, like Melton will defend Tatum, and you can tell Tatum can really get to his spots and bully him and really take advantage of the matchup. I'm not saying Springer's going to lock down Tatum, but I would imagine Tatum would have a harder time doing that with Springer. And I think that's the starting point of where you want with a perimeter defender is, can you at least provide some resistance? And I think you can clearly tell Springer's that player.
LP Cook one says, I appreciate your coverage and analysis of the Sixers Summer League. Thank you so much. Joey says, I'm high on Springer. People forget how young he was when he entered the draft. He's very young.
Still 20.
Yeah, he's 20. I don't think he turns 21 until like September.
Mm-hmm.
So, Thiago, I'm going to throw it to you then. Given everything you've seen so far with Springer, would you be comfortable moving DeAnthony Melton in a potential trade and bringing Springer up? Are you that confident?
I would have moved DeAnthony Melton like 3 weeks ago and signed. I think Melton had a fantastic year last year based on the expectations of putting in front of him. I do think there's potentially a shooting regression that's going to be coming his way. And if that's the case, then the Sixers basically have a replacement level player with some defensive activity. I like him. I think he's definitely has a use for the team. But I would have prioritized McDaniels over Melton because you can find shooting pretty easily on like vet minimum deals, assuming you're not going to spend it on Pat Beverly. But you really need like tall wing, lengthy defenders like, Council, but he's just not going to be ready. So McDaniels would have been the guy I would have put my money on. But yeah, I to answer your question directly, I think it's a lot to put on Springer like now. So I would still keep Melton on the roster.
Okay.
But I think Melton's highly disposable if they find the right.
Yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time in NBA Trade Machine these past couple weeks. And I will say I think there's many worlds where DeAnthony Melton is a guy that gets traded if there is some sort of Harden or Tobias deal or both deal that is looked. He's one of the tradable contracts that they have, one of the few guys outside the edges. I kind of sit on the camp of like the grass isn't always greener, that the Sixers have struggled to find guys like DeAnthony Melton been able. I do agree with Thiago that I think we're probably due for some shooting regression, and I'm also really hate that we just let McDaniels walk. That would have been way higher on my priority list than the Sixers clearly had it. And for the money that he got, they absolutely should have matched that. Yeah. But for the point for Melton specifically, like I'm not ready to like dig my heels in and say he has to be back next year. But I don't see many avenues for them to upgrade above what they gave him, even if he does regress a little bit.
Yeah. Jim chimes in. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Jim. Appreciate that.
And just one more thing on that, Chris. Sorry, they signed Mo Bamba today. Yeah, right. As a backup center. I wonder if that's a prelude of potentially them playing Paul Reed on the wing.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's what they're thinking about.
Which I don't mind. And even just having the flexibility to try it, stuff like that is very appealing to me. And I like Mo Bamba. an interesting player, but I like Mo Bamba.
Let's just keep it at
Guys,
interesting. That's about it.
We're going to be sitting like game 1, game 2 of the 2024 season and freaking out when we finally get Paul Reed and Embiid on the same floor together. Like, we've been yelling for that for years, and that's going to be so much fun. I agree. Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But let's see what happens. Larry says play Paul Reed at power forward, which is his natural position. I definitely think he can defend that.
Yeah.
What's with the Sixers shooting regression that never happens? Nurse will deploy 3 forwards at times. Yeah, they got a long way to go when it comes to adding wings to this roster. Let's move on to Terquavion Smith, man. 14 points on 16 shots. He had the green light today, Tiago. It was letting it fly from the jump, ran the offense from the jump. He only had 2 turnovers, but I like to see the 5 assists. He did have the play of the game, I thought. Was part of the play of the game where he had a transition alley-oop toss to Ricky Council Jr. off the baseline. It was fantastic. We haven't heard Sean's take on Terquavion Smith yet. I'll throw it to you, Sean, first. Kind of game 1, game 2 impressions and your kind of projection into his role moving forward.
Yeah, I absolutely love him. That's my guy for this team. I've been a Terquavion Smith guy. That was going back to last year's draft. I was very much in on him. Then he went back to school, didn't have as efficient of a year, and kind of slid down draft boards. I get the concerns with the frame. I just really like him. To me, like role wise, he screams Bones Highland to me. He's like a very much Bones Highland player. The thing that I like about Terquavion is like I feel like the Sixers a lot of times get so caught up in like getting a guy that checks a specific box. They overlook like who's just a good basketball player. And that's how I feel about Terquavion Smith, that you drop him off at any blacktop across the country and he's schooling everyone. And that's not the case with a lot of guys that they go after. So I didn't think tonight was his best game. I even thought game 1 there was room to improve. But I think that he can grow into a guy capable of running an offense. He's always going to have that microwave scoring ability. And when he gets hot, it's so fun to watch. So I love Terquavion Smith, and he's probably my favorite player on this team.
I agree with that. You can see the feel. You can see the instincts. He's fast with the ball, has a nice feel in the pick and roll. Tiago, what was your take on Turk tonight?
Was it only 16 shots? I swear it was 32 shots. Game.
That's
I'm like, this guy took every shot on the basketball.
There was a. I mean, it is summer league, but there was a lot of hero ball tonight, which I didn't like.
And it's summer league. I get it. I love the guy. Listen, what I saw tonight, right? You saw guy playing too fast. You know, sometimes didn't really play within the flow of the offense, but at the same time, showed 3-level scoring potential. Finish with the left, finish with the right. Played off the catch, played off the ball, had a couple catch and shoot threes. Still show that ability to pull up off screens and hit his shots. You see a true basketball player there. You can definitely tell the mindset is of a true hooper.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at the whole group of players the Sixers have, I would say this guy right now probably has the most translatable, in my opinion, NBA skill, which is the basketball IQ and the shot. I mean, the shot looks smooth. It looks pretty legit. And he's got NBA range. I mean, granted, he airball like 2 long distance.
At least two.
Yeah, but I think that, I appreciate the fact that he takes them. He doesn't hesitate. And I'm very high on his ability to be a scorer at the next level, like Sean said, Bones Highland. I think a little bit of quickly when I watch him play. I'm not saying he's that, but he shows a little bit of that floater game. So he's been the most exciting player to watch from the 2 games so far. I think he didn't do much to hurt himself tonight either. That was very good.
Yeah. If he's like a potential 40% shooter from 3, like he's going to make some noise. He's going to make some noise to get on this roster for sure.
You play next to Embiid, you're going to get wide open looks.
And he shot over 40% off the catch and at both corners in college, which both is a big deal to me. That's a very encouraging sign.
Yeah, he's kind of I think playing that lead guard role by default, because I don't think he's going to do that at all at the next level.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road, But yeah, he's a really fun prospect. Larry Love says, I didn't watch the game. How is Philly Petrusev looking? I thought he looked better in game 2 than game 1. I want to hear your thoughts. He was active, at least in the first half. I mean, he is what he is. He's going to get pushed around a lot. He had 10 points, 8 boards. I'll throw it to you, Thiago, first. What was your take on Petrusev tonight?
It's a ghost out there, man.
Yeah.
So that's when they're
I
driving.
thought he was active. I thought he was active on offense, active on defense. I don't know. I think the problem is like my expectations are really low.
My expectations are extremely low with him. Doesn't give you much of any rim protection. I mean, you can tell when Brown went in there, there was at least some resistance at the 5. With him at the 5, is just no resistance. And it's like I still need to see, can this guy actually shoot the basketball? Because it's going to be his role if there's a role in the future. And they don't get him the ball. He doesn't really pick and pop, doesn't do any of that. So I don't have no idea what this guy is. 0. So I know he's not a 5. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I unfortunately just don't think he's an NBA player is my bottom line on it. It's a bummer. I really feel like the Sixers gave him a promise and that he's going to be on the roster. I just don't see him being good enough on either side of the ball. And so often we do this with wings where we call them like a 3-and-D guy when they're not truly a 3-and-D guy. Like I feel like we're calling Petrusev a stretch 4 when like, can he even actually shoot? Like, do we know that? And like, you can spit numbers at me. You can show me his Adriatic League MVP. Like, I just don't see it. It doesn't look like he has the instincts, and he doesn't have a single like defining NBA skill that I think will make him stick.
Yeah, I agree.
He took one shot in game 1, and that thing left his hand as fast as it hit the rim. I was like, oh my god.
He did put up
a NBA shot.
Yeah, he did put up attempts in college.
Yeah, the numbers just don't correlate to me. Like I looked at him too, and I'm like, is this the same guy we're watching? It just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. He's just dropped off a cliff, man. But anyway, that basically wraps it up. We have to talk real quickly about Javonte Smart, who had a really, really strong game. Again, efficient, 7 of 10 from the field, 19 points. He was a plus 12. Sean, who is this guy?
LSU dude. He made my list of guys I had to Google today. So it's like, who is
I said that on Monday. I said on Monday, like we were doing our watch party, and like Javonte Smith like hitting buckets. I'm like, looking at Mitch. I'm like, who the hell is Javonte Smart?
Yeah, he did look good again tonight. I'm curious. Another guy that jumped out to me was DJ Stewart. I like DJ Stewart a lot too. He was another guy I was very surprised that I didn't remember whatsoever. Duke guy, highly recruited dude, plays in Canada right now. He's at least should have earned himself a G League look after this. I think he's another guy that surprised me. So there's a couple guys around the edges that are worth keeping your eye on this team.
Yeah. Yep. GSC says Petrusev is not an NBA player, can't move his feet at all. I thought Azuolas Tubelis and Jordan Tucker looked better. Tucker had a shockingly solid game, man. He's got a big body. He's like 6'7". Yeah.
Tubelis had the play of the game, in my opinion, which was getting in the way of a Ricky Council slam dunk. I was so ready to see that.
Yeah,
this idiot gets in the way.
That was the most awkward alley-oop, man.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those guys tried to get it.
The announcers are like, "What if they finish that? Will they each get a point?" It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, Holly Rowe needs to microphone.
Yeah.
Microphone.
There, we got to pay attention. Remember, Christian Wood, forever Sixer. Christian Wood, man. All right, love it. Let's get into player of the game. Sean, you go first.
I'll throw mine to DJ Stewart. Little surprise one. I just like him. He just has another one of those. He's got a feel for the game. There's a little something to him for me. And as far as like my expectations, like I'm pretty high on my expectation for Tre'Cavian Smith at this point. You got to shoot a little better for me to give you the nod there. Ricky Council, I thought was very good, and I thought played better than game 1. But I'm just giving it to DJ Stewart as an outside the box guy, and I want to see what he's got these next couple games too.
Love it. What about you, Thiago?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ricky Council. I think the guy plays with tremendous pace. You can clearly tell that Nurse's coaching points are getting to him. Moves the ball, so understands. Well, I would say that when he's actually not trying to take on his man 1-on-1, he actually does a good job moving the ball and finding guys who may be open in the half court. So I just like his energy level. I like his size. I like the way that he played today. I thought he was very, very good.
Yeah, I'm going to go Javonte Smart, a guy that he's made my radar in terms of who the heck this guy is. Yeah. 19 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 of 6 from 3. Got my eye on him. We'll see what it means moving forward. But who knows? I kind of disappointed that they don't have Matt McClung and things like that. I don't know what he's doing. He's a free agent. I don't know. Has anybody heard about Matt McClung? Like,
nah, no word.
Crazy.
He's too old for the two-way slots now, so it's sink or swim.
Man. All right, so that wraps it up. I'll throw it to you, Sean. Final thoughts on game 2?
Yeah, just one thing, and my bad if you guys acknowledge this as game 1, but I think it's super cool that Nick Nurse is there coaching. Yeah. I think it's awesome that he's like on the bench, calling out stuff, talking to all these guys. To me, I just like that's worth acknowledging. You don't see that from a head coach that often, and I get like it's first year, so it's a good look for him. But I just think it's very cool he's doing it, and it's making an impact. These guys are hearing his voice, so I wouldn't want to shout out Nick Nurse for that.
Sean, my player of the game was Nick Nurse in game 1.
Okay,
and Thiago made it about Doc Rivers, and I lost it. I had 1 or 2 or a few too many drinks. And I just really started laughing my ass off. It was so funny.
That's awesome. I'm gonna watch that back after this.
It was great. I put a short of it out.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Shout out to Doc Rivers for saying that the Sixers were a Pat Beverly. I mean, guy clearly has a pulse on what the hell went wrong with his team in game 6 and 7. So, yeah, another shout out to Doc, who continues to haunt us, even from the comfort of his golf course in LA.
Thiago, this is your bit, man. This is it. Like this needs to come up every single show moving forward somehow. I don't know how.
Staple, man. It could be like 5 years from now. We're starting to hear Doc Rivers' voice in the background. Guy's unbelievable. Like tone deaf until
a lot of the Sixers front offices. Man.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about that tweet. That just drove me absolutely nuts last night.
Right. It's crazy, man. All right. Sorry, Sean. Time's yours.
Oh, yeah. And anyway, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. As long as that app is up and running, I will be there. Check out PickSwap Media on YouTube and all socials at PickSwap Media. On Instagram, it's at PickSwap Media 1. And other than that, yeah, I got a podcast dropping tomorrow with James where we went over some of the Mo Bamba signings, Pat Bev stuff in more detail, as well as the James Harden situation and how that's going to go down. So, yeah, check all that out.
All right. What about you, Thiago?
You can check me at Edge of Philly Sports. I'm trying to do some writing for the website as well as the live post-game show with you guys. Big game tomorrow against Zaire Smith and OKC. Revenge team for Zaire Smith. So make sure to tune in for that. And I got a prediction to make. I think the Sixers will win Las Vegas. I think they're going to be the Las Vegas champion.
Wow.
It's coaching and some of the guys that you've seen play out. I think they're going to surprise some folks.
Love it, man. I can't wait for the game tomorrow. That's going to be fun. Big check guy. And I think I obviously didn't get to watch him much. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And that OKC team is just straight up loaded. If the Sixers are competing with OKC, I'm ready to say it, Thiago. They're going to win Vegas. Little Sponge said, what did Doc say? He said that they could have used him essentially to move forward, right?
It would be a different story if you were on the team last year, as I think what the quote was. When Pat Bev called Doc, and Doc said, like, I think you're a great fit for Philly. You're going to be great with James, great with Joel. If we had you last year, it would be a different outcome.
100%. And keep in mind, Pat Beverly averaged 5 points a game last year and shot 30% from 3. So Doc is spot on with his analysis.
All right. Let's do this question. LP Cook says, do you think Smith and Council IV will make the active roster or just be Delaware Blue Coats? I'll kind of do a second question. Who is more likely to make the active roster, Council or Smith? Sean.
So they're both on two-way deals, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna see both of them a little bit. I I think Turk is a little more just NBA ready right now. I think they're going to see the long game with Ricky Council a little more. I think we're going to see both of them in flashes. That's honestly what I'm most excited for under Nick Nurse is let's just throw these guys around a little bit. I think we're going to see way more of that than we're accustomed to. And I think we see both these guys in the NBA chance.
Yeah, that's how I would lean. I think Ricky Council the fourth needs to develop his shot, but I think Turk, if the shot is as good as we think it is off ball in a Nick Nurse system, cutting, shooting, all that kind of stuff, I think there's upside, man. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I think Turk has a skill that the Sixers can use, but I actually think there's a roster room for Ricky Council.
Yeah.
So like Sean said, I think they're both going to go back and forth, but if you to put a gun in my head and say who can potentially play game one, I'd probably say Ricky Council over Smith, even though I think Smith probably has the skill that is translatable right away.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I should have picked Matisse Thybulle as my player of the game because Tiago's boy finally got paid for Dallas today. So, yeah. All right.
The NBA likes him after all. Who knew?
Yep. That basically wraps it up. We'll be back tomorrow night breaking down OKC versus the Sixers. I can't wait for post game. When the clock hits 0, we'll go live. That's going to be a lot of fun. For Tiago, for Sean, for myself, thank you everyone for watching. Smash that like button wherever you're watching and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay awesome.